What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff, arm yourselves, life stuff. This could have been a lengthy one, but I think it'll be a brief one. I was given cause to remember why I dislike the loser young dude archetype, and then given cause to think about it, to get more specific, to boil it down. And what we're talking about here applies to more sorts of people than strictly loser young dudes, but we're focusing on them because it's most pronounced within them. And I think that's because with loser young dudes, they have the least grounds or least leverage to do what they do, but also the most expectation it should work. Loser young dudes are the same person. And I've been dealing with them for as long as I've been doing YouTube. From 100 subscribers up to now. Almost a decade of dealing with this exact same person. And the key to remember here is the reason I dislike them and the reason I understand them is in the beginning I would try to deal with them. And because of their frame of mind, it never ends well. You always lose something when you entertain this sort of person. And there's no possibility of anything good coming out of dealing with them or entertaining them or trying to help them because it's a mindset thing. And only they can change their mindset, and they will not change their mindset until they're forced to. Until life teaches them painfully what life is about. And there are tons of sorts of people in the world to hate. All sorts of people there is no winning with, you shouldn't deal with. Two additional reasons I hate loser young dudes so much. One, because they come around always, and also because I was one. I, as a loser young dude, did to people what loser young dudes do to me. This is some kind of karmic punishment shit going on. And when I deal with loser young dudes, even the ones who are a little more losery or a little less losery, I get agitated because I can tell them what's wrong and I can tell them what they need to do to beat it if they dislike the state they're in or what they are, and they always do. But their reaction always is spurgy or shitty because it's a mindset thing. They won't get it until they can see it, and they won't see it until they have no choice but to see it. And that's the worst part of all this, because there are loser young dudes in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, and older. Boomer men are a generation of loser young dudes. And they put themselves around you, and you don't want to deal with their shit, and that's your fault because their expectation is other people should be happy to have to deal with their shit, to fix their problems, to coddle them, all without realizing the shitty things they do or the problems they cause are problems and they come from them. Now, what is the boiled down essential issue with loser young dudes? A lot of women too, actually, but again, the difference between loser young dudes and shitty women like this is women have more leverage. That's an ugly, unfair thing, but life is an ugly, unfair game, which is something you're going to need to learn. When people have leverage, they have power. With women, even if you don't want to play the game, a lot of people do, and that's where their leverage comes from. But with loser young dudes, what do you bring to the table acting this way? Nothing. Nothing but the expectation to get exactly what you want while offering nothing but your problems. Nobody wants to deal with your problems. And when you go to people expecting to be treated a certain way, expecting to be respected, in return for draining other people, at best, you'll get a brush off. At worst, you could get killed. And that's not even an exaggeration. That sounds like an exaggeration, but try being entitled to the wrong person in the wrong moment and see what happens. And when you get that outcome, that ultimate worst outcome, will anyone care? No, because you don't matter. You don't matter anywhere near as much as you think you matter, as much as you feel you deserve to matter. You aren't even a net neutral in the world. You are a net negative. We keep going off on tangents. What's the problem? Loser young dudes believe life is their game, and life and all the people in the world should follow their rules according to their game. And they think this because they've never needed to think otherwise. They've been safe and protected enough not to need to think otherwise. Life hasn't instructed them in the nature of the game, which is life. You aren't a player in your game, you aren't the master in your game, you aren't even a player in life, really. You are an element of this grand game. And loser young dudes resent everybody, which I distinguish from hatred because hatred is hatred. You hate something or someone. Generally, in the platonic sense, resentment is a form of hatred that comes from the belief people are wronging you or beating you because they're playing unfairly. And you think they're playing unfairly because you think your understanding of life is what life is. And it's not. But life, for now, hasn't taught you that. I'd like to say it will, but because life is a cunt, there are lots of people who can get through their entire life not being instructed. That's the way it goes. So you have these loser young dudes walking around feeling like everyone is cheating, everyone is personally victimizing them, because as other people are engaging with life on life's terms, they are continuing to do what they think they're supposed to do, or what they think life is. They're following their idea of their game and losing, but feeling like they should be winning. But because they haven't been forced to learn the game, they don't change what they do. They spend their entire lives losing, doing the exact same things, and resenting everyone. That's why loser young dudes are so passive-aggressive. I think on some level, somewhere deep down inside, they all realize they have no leverage. But they use their idea of what life is supposed to be to make their failings, their fucking stupidity, everyone else's problem. Hey, I dress like shit. I stink. I smell bad. I have zero interest in other people outside their capacity to validate me for the retarded shit I care about. So, genuinely, sort of the way I deal with people I resent, by the way, I, I corner them and I tell them about Mario Kart, about Mario Kart speedrunning with my SpongeBob breath, and then I use the fact they don't care, but they're responding in a trying to be polite, kind of pitying way to justify my victim complex because I feel I deserve them to care about me and the dumb shit I like and to tolerate or even to enjoy the fact that I fucking stink and look like shit while making no effort to understand them, to help them, to try to make myself appealing to them, to try to make them comfortable. Now, I'll give you two to be fairs here. One, to be fair, you don't need to do any of these nicety things. You don't need to care about the way you look. You don't need to try to understand people or to care about people, even to try to meet them on their level. You don't need to do any of those things. You can do whatever you want, but you're dumb and annoying if you believe you deserve positive reactions from people you make no effort to get or to deserve a positive reaction from. And deserve is a tricky word, but they love deserve. That's their word. And the other, to be fair, is most people will react negatively to you even if you do try. Because that's what life is. It sucks. But you can get some positive reactions if you try, and you can get more as you get better at it, as you learn to play the game, instead of staying forever in this idea of your game. If your dream is to make people sit there and listen to you talk about Mario Kart speedrunning, there are a few ways you can go about that. One, you can train yourself to be good at talking about Mario Kart speedrunning and finding people you want to talk about Mario Kart speedrunning at. Or you can earn a lot of money, hire armed guards, and hold people at gunpoint and force them to listen to you. But however you go about achieving that goal, if that is your goal, you need to understand there is a price you need to pay for it. And even if you pay that price, there is no guarantee you'll get what you want. And because life is what it is, there are people who will pay the same price you do, but less or worse, and get what you want when you don't, because life is a cunt. But loser young dudes have no concept of this. They might be able to recognize there is a problem or there is some disconnect, but what they do is they attribute that disconnect to other things. Very often it'll be some issue with everybody else. The more perceptive ones will attribute it to this or that about themselves, but it's always small shit or auxiliary shit that doesn't really matter. What they'll never do is address their point of view. They'll never address themselves, what they are, that they are in a game, not their game, and they'll never address their expectation if they play their game their way. They believe they are supposed to get what they want. They will never do that until they are forced to. You can hate people, you can hate this world, but you'll never get anywhere until you realize you don't matter. What you think doesn't matter. Your appraisal of things doesn't matter. And if you want to chase the illusion that any of those things matter, that you matter, you need to realize you'll maybe, but probably not, but maybe get there by conforming yourself to the game you're part of instead of expecting the game to conform itself to you. And that's another thing. Even if you get what you want, the slim chance you get what you want, there is no guarantee you'll keep it. If you want to get and keep what little you can in life, you need to start looking at things as they are now and playing competitively. Assume you deserve nothing. Assume you're owed nothing. Assume anything you have will be taken from you. And know, if you want life to feel a little better for a little while, you do that by making your conforming to life, to the game, second nature. That way you don't really need to think about it. Then you can start deluding yourself. But that's the issue with loser young dudes. What makes dealing with loser young dudes infuriating? First, they come to you. They come to you because they want something, because they don't know how to make or to do anything for themselves because they never needed to learn how, or they haven't accepted that they should learn how. So they show up wanting shit, and usually that's your validation. Because here's another thing loser young dudes do. They identify with people who find some success despite having nothing essential in common, because they want to believe they are someone who can achieve the same success despite putting in none of the work, never conforming themselves to reality. And they expect you to assure them they are secret successes, hidden geniuses, fucking little Einsteins at your expense while fucking up what you do, but truly at your expense. Because another thing is they hate you. No, they don't hate you, they resent you. That's part of this fucking loser young dude attachment thing. They want validation from the sort of person they resent most, because in their mind, you're succeeding the way they should be succeeding, but aren't, because life is unfair and people are mean. So they want you to help them, to tell them everything will be okay, to expend your shit to get this undeserving nothing closer to where you are. Not because you have anything in common, not because they've done anything to deserve your desire to help them. They don't even have the leverage to try to force you. They hate you, they resent you, and they feel they deserve to be where you are or further. But they aren't, because you're a cheater and people just don't get it. So let's say you, in a fucking dumb moment, want to try to do for someone what you wish someone would have done for you when you were a complete loser young dude. What happens? Every time you try to give them what you've found useful, your strategies for playing life, and they hate it, and they resent you. And they try to use you as a platform they can judge or attack or influence, to put themselves above, to try to get you to do things the way they do things, which, if you, God forbid, if you acquiesce in the slightest, you lose what you've built up quickly, because you have allowed them to... What they do is they take advantage of your decency. You've decented your way into being convinced to do things in this retarded way that doesn't work. I mean, that's why they're doing this to or with you, because their methods suck. And now, because of your decency, you lose what you have, and they drag you down to their level. You've allowed a loser who resents you to convince you or to pressure you to take advantage of your decency into playing their game and losing the exact way they lose, instead of continuing to find meager success playing life the way you've somewhat, barely, painfully, torturously figured out how to play life. You look at women who have tried to date incels. What happens within a week or two? They're disgusted, they're demoralized, and they're worse off because they allowed their decency to be taken advantage of by fucking loser dudes who feel owed the life they've built up. And you see something similar in the inverse with women. Dudes who allow themselves to be beaten down by women who feel they deserve, no noun after that, 2 words, noun, verb, they deserve, they feel they deserve, 3 words, and will treat the dude as if this motherfucker owes them because they exist. They're parasites. But loser young dudes are the biggest parasites. They're even worse than this sort of woman because young dudes have 0 leverage. And again, we talk about fairness. The woman thing, it's completely unfair. It's gross. But in life terms, it makes sense. By merit of their being women, they have leverage. Nobody deserves anything. People should expect nothing but the worst. But women have more tokens. Loser young dudes have no tokens, but expect everything. And not even to buy everything, but for everything to be given to them. Because they deserve it, because they did some shit they think makes them deserving of anything. And if you let them around you, and you give them a chance, you've lost, and you deserve it. Because you accepted this. We aren't going the loser young dude route and saying, they're playing unfair, that's mean. They're retarded, and they're parasites, but if you allow them to parasitize you, that is your fault. You have only yourself to blame. But you get the idea, and I think we'll cut it here. If you want to start to get somewhere, figure out the rules other people are playing by, instead of imposing your idea of the way things are supposed to work on people, and then spurging out when life doesn't go and get you your chicken nuggets and call you a good boy. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.